we'll start with the DXY. So it's looking interesting with the dollar. It's looking interesting. I say that because, again, as I said as I said coming into the week, I've been pretty bullish on the dollar, looking for buying opportunities for USD. And that is still the plan, even though it doesn't look as great as it is right now. As prices approach this area of demand, this is basically where I want to do my business. If USD is going to be bullish, this is where I want to see that upside come from. At the moment, not really seeing any convincing price action. Quite flat. We were quite bearish yesterday. I mean, there's nothing that says, okay, the buys aren't here anymore. Until price kind of breaks structure over here, that's when I will truly say, okay, that bullish bias has been put to bed. But there is still potential upside, potential move from this area, but I need to see more development, maybe a bit of a consolidation form, maybe some more wicks to the downside, more rejection, and some impulsive bullish candles start to print. When I can see that, then okay, I can start talking about the buys again, and hopefully a push to the upside. You've got targets here initially, and if everything goes very well, possibly a push to 100.2. So that is still the plan. I'm not really interested in the shorts. I do think there could be some sell opportunities on the lower time frames, but from a 4-hour swing bias, this is still very much what I'm looking for, but not quite there yet. Dollar still looks pretty bearish. Have to be quite careful with the buys until we see some convincing price action. I'm very much on the sidelines with the USD pairs. So taking a look at yeah, exactly, and on the 1 minute as well. So taking a look at EURUSD. Again, with this one, same logic applies. We potentially could still be putting a lower high in. As you can see, you got consolidation there, very aggressive move down, and now price is back there again, and it's looking quite corrective, which again is a characteristic of potentially a lower high forming. We start off pretty aggressive off the back of NFP, but now we've been pretty corrective. So I actually quite like what I'm seeing. Very choppy move into this area. Potentially, again, that could be the move that is on the cards, and that's what I'm looking at. So I'm waiting to see if I can get some more convincing price action in and around this area. Of course, keeping one eye on the dollar as well, on the DXY, because I kind of want to see them synchronize together and both give me convincing price action at the same time. Had a bit of a bearish candle there this morning. Nothing too crazy, nothing that will tell me to hop into the trade. I'm liking the fact that we are finding resistance here, so that's a good thumbs up. But again, I need a little bit more before I do enter a trade myself. But I am seeing rejection here, so the bearish buys for Euro, the bullish buys for USD is still on the cards. We're seeing some evidence, but I need a lot more before I do take any trades. But still keeping an eye, and that is very much still the bias for the dollar. And again, targets back to this low being one, and that low being a second. And we'll go from there. Pound USD, no, there's not much going on here. I think that's because pound is really strong, and we are testing the highs over here, and very, very close to a break of structure here. So if pound USD does see a strong close above this, yeah, I'm not really interested in the shorts. I mean, anything can happen with the FX markets. We could break structure and then break back in, and it could be a fake out potentially. But the probability wise, if we do break the high, I don't see price suddenly doing that. Could happen, but low probability. We want to focus on higher quality opportunities, which I would say are likely to happen. So if pound USD does break the highs, that pretty much puts the short bias I had coming to the week to bed pretty much. I'm not interested in touching pound. Maybe you can even speak about some buying opportunities if something looks good there on a pullback. But yeah, pound USD was pretty bearish coming to the week. We haven't really seen much bearish momentum actually kind of set well, and we've been looking pretty bullish. Of course, pound's been very, very strong, and now looks like we're likely to take out the highs there. And if that does happen later today or whenever, I'm backing away from the sells and maybe focusing a bit more on the buys, but at least being neutral. Over to USD CAD. So USD CAD potentially again still could form a higher low. It's kind of just messing around at this support resistance level on the daily chart. So you got support there previously, resistance once, resistance twice, and now it looks like price is just kind of having a bit of fun at this area. Is it acting as support? Maybe. Looks like it might be. And that could potentially induce a nice move to the upside. That's still very much the bias there for dollar CAD. We've been in this range for a few weeks. We finally got the breakout. Is this just the retest of that range for price to continue? That's the way I see it for dollar CAD at the moment. Just needs some more convincing bullish structure. We did see a nice close this morning. Quite a few of the USD pairs did close pretty well, but I would still argue that for the most part, kind of just a bit sideways here for dollar CAD. So I'm not quite convinced just yet, but I do think something is brewing up with the fact how sideways we are. Again, maybe if we can get a strong close above that, that could be a nice entry on itself, or maybe you could look for some lower time frame pullbacks to ride it back to the high there at 1.38779. So dollar CAD still bullish bias. I'm not really interested in the shorts whatsoever. It looks like it's still hanging on for that on that level for dear life. So if momentum can start to pick up, I do think some buyers could follow there for dollar CAD. CAD's still been pretty weak, so if USD does gain some strength, I think we'll see dollar CAD start to fly pretty much. But nothing quite there yet. That's the key thing I'm getting at. Euro, nothing quite there yet. Pound, definitely not. Dollar CAD, not quite there yet. We are seeing price start to respect support, but nothing convincing in terms of any entries. Aussie dollar, likewise as well. Nice push to the downside, pretty aggressive close, but not enough for me to get into a trade just yet. I do like one thing about Aussie is that we are corrective on the way up, which again leads me to believe that probably this is a pullback for more downside. You know, price did go and break through structure. Is this a lower high falling for a push down? It possibly could be. I'm not quite sold yet with the price action. Need a little bit more convincing before I do hop into anything, but I'm keeping an eye. It looked as if price was going to break back inside the channel, inside this ascending channel, which I said if price does convincingly, I kind of just will move away from Aussie dollar. And it sort of isn't. It's just kind of retesting on the side. So the hopes for shorts are still quite there. Yes, they were looking quite bullish, but we managed to pull back. And of course, today's looking a little bit bearish as well, providing some nice wicks to the upside. So if we are going to sell off, if we are going to respect this channel, this is the area which we need to do it in and start to look for some selling opportunities. So I'm keeping a close eye on Aussie. I am not quite there yet with the sales. I know that's a pretty nice bearish candle, but the way I see it, we're kind of still respecting this this ascending channel here. So I kind of want to see a little bit more evidence of us kind of breaking out of that before I do do pull the trigger. But I'm liking how we're looking. Very, very corrective on the way out. Looks like a lower high could be forming. Yeah, if USD can see some strength, I think that's going to be the tipping point for a lot of these USD pairs. Dollar CAD will fly, Euro start to fall, Aussie will push up. Not sure about pound because pound's quite strong. Unless pound dramatically weakens. Not sure about that one, but the other USD pairs do look likely. New Zealand dollar as well, very corrective on the way up. You know, is this just another lower high in this sequence? One over there, second over there, is a third forming. This looks really corrective to me, which again is a characteristic of a pullback, which is what I want to see. And possibly we could be getting ready for another drop. I do prefer Aussie. I think it's a little bit cleaner and it's got a bit more room to the downside. So I'd rather focus my efforts on Aussie dollar. And again, they're very similar pairs as well. So I always want to pick between the two. But very corrective and again, showing some signs of selling pressure kicking back in. So maybe again, if you can consolidate for a little bit, maybe a strong break of that counter trend line, that could be a strong catalyst for an entry and shorts back into the low and maybe further as well. So I think we're really relying on this USD strength coming in. We had a look at the DXY, not looking quite convincing. I mean, if I look at the capital.com, yeah, not quite convincing in terms of momentum just yet. So maybe we can start to see some real momentum here for the dollar. Then we'll see the other USD pairs start shaping up potentially. And of course, if USD continues to fall, then all those setups I just mentioned kind of go out the window. So it's definitely make or break in terms of where we're trading. If I head over to gold, gold haven't really been focusing on gold. It's just really choppy. We were looking semi-bullish yesterday. We did see a bit more upside, then we topped out and we're back at support again. So the way I see it, price is ranging and we're kind of in the middle of that range, which again is the worst place to do the business because you got a lot of indecisiveness in that area, a lot of fluctuation, no real safe place to put a stop loss as well. It's just very, very risky business there. Unless you're in there just trying to take a small piece of the pie in and out very quickly, sure, I think you can get away with that. But any kind of meaningful swing, unless you're right on the lower time frames, it's going to be difficult. because of how choppy the market is and the fact we're not really trading at any area of significance. So gold, for me, not much to report on. As I said yesterday and the day before that and last week, these are the areas which I want to do my business in. If I can find some opportunities here, sure, buying low, selling high, or waiting for breakouts, that's kind of where my interest lies. In the middle of all of this, I'm not really interested with gold at all. So yeah, not much to report on, to be honest. I don't really have much of a bias here until we do approach the highs or the lows. Then I can be a bit more of use. But yeah, not a fan at all of gold. And silver's interesting. We did see quite a lot of aggressive momentum yesterday, and of course that's kind of topped out. I was talking a lot about some selling opportunities around this area. We saw a slight move, but nothing significant. We kind of broke above that with this bullish move. So with silver coming into last week, I was pretty bearish. I was looking for shorts to try and find a continuation of this bearish leg. So nice impulsive move, pullback, continuation. Didn't see that happen. And I'm not betting on that anymore. We've had a big V-shaped pattern here, which again typically is a bullish reversal pattern. So I kind of do expect to see something like this form for silver and maybe a push back to highs. After all, the overall uptrend is still at play. We are still quite bullish. You know, I think there's a good case for more upside in just price making its way back to highs. I have spoken a lot about the retest of this area. I think that's a nice place for a buy, but I'm not too sure if we do come back to revisit that area. If we do, great. I'm all over it. If not, then yeah, we're going to find some other opportunities elsewhere. I think maybe some intraday pullbacks could look good on the way up back to highs. That might be where it's at for silver. But yeah, not the biggest fan of the price action. I was looking for shorts, trying to catch the continuation of this leg. That isn't the case anymore. Not quite seeing the pullback I was after. So yeah, if we continue to break highs, then I would say silver's pretty bullish, and there's a good likelihood that we do eventually push back to highs at 39.5.